Good evening. It's my pleasure to call to order the regular meeting of the Town Commission of the Town of Palm Beach Shores for Monday, March 21st. I'll invite the audience to join the Commission in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you sure?
The clerk will kindly call roll this evening.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to call the roll for the March 21st, 2016 regular commission meeting. As I call your name, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Workman.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kutzen.
Here.
Commissioner Trepepi. Here. Commissioner Durrell.
Here.
For the record, he is attending via teleconference. Commissioner Ziegler.
Here.
Also present is our town engineer, our town clerk, our police chief, our interim fire chief, our public works director. And as a courtesy, I would just like to remind everybody to please silence your cell phones before we start the meeting. And with that, I turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Yvonne. We have before us an agenda this evening. I'll entertain a motion for its approval or with modification.
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Moving to our consent agenda for the evening, which contains the approval of the February 22nd, 2016 regular meeting minutes, approval of March 2nd, 2016 special call meeting minutes, and approval of special event SP 16-1 Catamaran race May 18th, 19th, 2016. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
A second. Motioned and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Our financial report for the evening. The Commission's been provided with the financial report closing out the month of February, which shows $4,082,753 in cash and investments on hand. Budgeted revenues for this budget were $4,539,852. Of that, the town has received $3,279,485, which is 72% of revenues collected. Last year, this time, we'd only collected 67%, so we've collected 72%. And total disbursements for February, $457,507. We've expensed $1,656,673 fiscal year to date, representing 36% of budget. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
I'll motion.
Been motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now on the financial audit, was that via
Wendy had just a real quick update. She was sorry she couldn't be here tonight. She just wanted to let you know that there were some changes in the pension requirements, and she's waiting to hear from FRS on that item. But the audit will be performed within the state required dates, but we haven't had an official date yet, but they have assured us they will meet the state requirements.
Great. All right, thank you. All right, moving to agenda item 4B1 staff report. Chief Young.
Yes, sir. Coming right up.
Feel like I'm getting married coming down the center of the Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey.
All right, for the month of March, I was just reviewing this. I'm not sure if we had a misprint or not, but we either had 5 or 6 criminal arrests. Judging from the little sheet, we only had 5 on there, but I've listed 6. two of the arrests for driving while license suspended, one DUI, one arrest for trespassing at the construction site at 106 Inlet, and a warrant arrest by Officer Sheehan. Officers wrote 36 parking citations. We had 6 verbal warnings, 12 written warnings, 8 traffic citations. Officers responded to 17 criminal complaints. Overall, we had 223 complaints or calls for assistance. We drove 2,038 miles. We handled 10 town ordinance violations. The T3 and Can-Am hours are down this month because they were both out for repair for a little extended period of time. So we only had 2 T3 patrol hours and 9 ATV patrol hours, 7 bike patrol hours. Officers were on foot for 74 hours, and they ran radar for 8 hours. As everybody is aware, a couple weekends ago, we had the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which from a law enforcement point of view was pretty successful. We had no issues whatsoever. Things went pretty smooth, I thought, from my end. I'm not sure about your end, but as you know, the next day we had the Flotopia event, the social media event for spring break. And also from our end, I thought it worked out pretty well. We had one drunken disorderly arrest out of the Sailfish. A young man who had been attending the Flotopia party was being a little foolish in the ship store, and we found accommodations for him that night. And that's pretty much all I have.
Good.
Thanks.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
Thanks, sir.
Moving to our fire department, Chief Thomas.
Here's the bridesmaid.
Moving to our fire department, Chief Thomas.
Here's the bridesmaid.
Okay, well, since February 22nd, we've had 3 drills and 1 meeting for our association with an average of 26 members per. We had 9 fire rescue related calls consisting of 5 fire alarms, 3 public assists, and 1 structure fire with an average of 6 responders to each one of those. The structure fire was actually was in the backyard. It was a swimming pool pump, the heater, but we had flame, so that was good for us. I mean, it wasn't good for them. Fire department likes to do things like that once in a while, you know. Also, the Palm Beach Shores Volunteer Fire Department responded to 18 medical calls with 2 responders minimum per call. Medical calls were sick person 6, fall with injury 3, difficulty breathing 3, domestic disturbance 2, and then unconscious person, hemorrhaging, cardiac arrest, and abdominal pain 1 each. And that's my report.
Any questions from the chief? Thank you, chief.
Thank you very much.
Moving to agenda item 4B3, Public Works, Director Welch.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. We've actually had a pretty good, exciting month. The weather's been, very cooperative for us. I'd like to start out with the community center first. We're receiving quotes for the 2nd floor carpet as well as the dance floor, so we can upgrade that. And we're also receiving quotes to install better lighting in the stairwells as well as the exterior of the building. And of course, we're going to be turtle friendly. I know we've had a few issues with lighting with the stairwells and that when we have our night functions, so we're going to get working on that right away. And on our grounds, our Parkway Beautification Project, still with the joint efforts of our gracious Environmental Committee and all their volunteers. We've done pretty much all the Parkway. Now we're working on the fountain area, and hopefully we can come up with a good scheme for that, as well as upgrades and make the entrance of our parkway for our town beautiful as it once was before. We've installed all your new and improved dog bag boxes, and hopefully this will deter a lot of folks from misusing them, which in my perspective right now in this short period of time, we used to have to fill these bags about Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now we're only having to fill them Monday and Friday. So we're already seeing a decrease in the misuse of the bags. So that'll also help us with our budgetary items as well. And we're now scheduling to pressure wash the parkway again, and the parkway benches and that. So we're trying to get back on our regular maintenance schedules as much as we can. But we're going to make that hopefully possible before the Easter egg hunt, and that'll make the parkway even shine more than what it does. On our beach, we're almost finished with the boardwalk, 98%. We're just having to replace the boards under the tiki hut. And I think the rest of it turned out pretty well. The new deck paint that we have chosen has held up pretty well. So hopefully we'll get our longer life and make that look a little more beautiful up there. And we're also getting ready to do the prep work for the 4 coconut trees that have graciously been donated by the POA and the efforts of the environmental committee as well. We're excited to get those installed, and I think it'll enhance the dune area around our beach even more so than what it is. For our street lights, we're underway with performing the necessary electrical repairs for the upgrade for the LED. We're also doing prep work for our new for the new street boxes, the street light boxes. I've had to upgrade those in order for us to make the LEDs more efficient and easier to maintain. We're also getting ready to schedule for our storm drains and water pipes again to be cleaned. So you might see us out there again, and I'll be getting with Chief Bob here to do the flushing of our lines with the fire truck again. So it'll be some training for his guys as well. And we've also installed the new street names on the light poles, and hopefully you folks have seen a difference and hope you like them. So we're happy that we got them up there. That's great. For the town buildings, I just want to let you know that we finished all the flat roof replacement as well as new gutter system as well. So now our town building exteriorly should be pretty sound and watertight. So we're pretty happy with that. Is there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Alan.
All right, thank you.
Very much.
Moving to
Very much.
our clerk's report, Yvonne.
Yes, sir.
Just want to remind everybody that next Monday, March 28th at 7 o'clock is the reorganization meeting. We are still open to receive letters of interest for the Planning and Zoning Board. So if anybody is interested, need a letter of interest with your requirements for that type of board by this Friday at noon. We did receive an update today. The final results from the election came in this afternoon about 3 o'clock from the Supervisor of Elections office. And the final count was Myra Kutson, 278, which is 51.20%, and former Mayor Mills received 265, which is 48.80%. We still remained with 7 undervotes. Just a little update on our new town manager. He is en route. He left Saturday, headed this way in his little pickup truck, and plans to stop on the way and visit friends and family, and should be here about the 28th or the 30th, and he will be ready to start work on April 1st. He's been communicating with me almost daily and getting to know him through emails a lot, so I'm looking forward to him arriving. Finally tonight, I would like to introduce somebody really special. Orlando, would you stand up in the back row? I want everybody to meet our new code enforcement officer. This is Orlando Rodriguez. He's already proven to be a great asset to us, and we are thrilled that he's here. He works for the company of Safe Built, and he is truly a professional. I'm really glad he's here. So I think everybody that has met him has found him to be very professional and has good interactive skills. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Eva. Moving to our legal update, Keith Davis.
Thank you, and apologies for the delay in getting here. There was horrible traffic from a multi-car crash on the highway, so, but I apologize for being a little late. I wanted to bring you up to date on the sea spray code enforcement appeal case that remains pending in the appellate court. As you recall, it got to the point where the appellate court had required the sea spray to essentially come to court and have their lawyer appear before the judge on their motion to withdraw. What happened next was that the sea spray filed for bankruptcy, which has general effect of staying everything. So I need a little direction from the commission. There is, the bankruptcy code does provide an exception. We can go before the bankruptcy court and ask for the stay to be lifted as it relates to our code enforcement appeal. The law does allow municipal, this type of action to proceed with the bankruptcy court's permission. You know, at the end of the day, if we did that and the court lifted the stay, the net result would be that the appeal would follow its course and likely get dismissed. The problem is you know, we're then in the posture of having that code enforcement case at the fine assessment hearing stage, but our ability to collect any fines against them would still be problematic in terms of proceeding to actually collect anything. So, you know, there's two things we can do. We can just let the bankruptcy proceeding play its course and then deal with the code enforcement matter at the end of it, or we can go forward, ask the court to lift the stay, get the appeal closed out, get us a little bit further along in the process now, but it's still, in terms of actually collecting anything, we wouldn't be able to until the bankruptcy proceeding ran its course anyway. So I wanted to bring that option before you, let you know that it's out there. I'm not sure that it's worth it at this point, given that we can't actually collect money while the bankruptcy proceeding is pending. But I did want to bring that to you, see if you had any thoughts on how you would prefer us to proceed on that matter. And we'll go.
What do you recommend?
Yeah.
Well, as I said, to me, we could go through the exercise, get us a couple steps further along in the process, but at the end of the day, we still can't collect anything until the bankruptcy is closed. So, you know, unless you want us to take these next steps, which we can, seems to me that probably the better course is just to let the bankruptcy play out. You just need to understand that that can take time. So and if you're okay waiting, my recommendation would be to just let it ride.
That would
Yeah, I would rather not spend more legal fees now.
Yes.
Agreed. I think that makes sense, but you know, I did feel obligated to at least bring
right.
the option to you and get some direction. But I think I would agree, and that would be my recommendation.
Okay. I think that's a consensus then?
Yeah,
It's-
that's fine.
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
in a hurry.
Good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Moving to commission reports, we'll begin with our vice mayor.
Okay. Well, tonight we thought we'd take our commission reports to do a moment of appreciation for our mayor on his last commission meeting. So I have a little something I'd like to say. I don't know if the other commissioners would also like to chime in, but so since I'm up here with the microphone, I'm going to start. I believe that you get the leader you need at the time you need them. So Mayor Workman's time came 7 years ago. It was a time of economic instability and financial hardship. He didn't get to do the sexy projects of building a community center or putting in streetlights, though he did get to buy a fire truck. That was pretty cool. His legacy will be the improvement in the professional standards, the financial stability, and the upgraded equipment that he has provided for this town. While this may be invisible to some of you, it is a legacy that will pay dividends for all of us for years to come. Personally, I've enjoyed working with the mayor. I admire his generosity, his even temper, and his tenacity in the face of adversity, all qualities that I strive for myself. So thank you, Mayor Workman, for your steady leadership over the years. We appreciate all your time and efforts on our behalf.
Wow.
Wow,
Business
you're gonna go
report.
next.
I left
Mr.
Mayor. But I've enjoyed working with you also.
Thank you, Rick. Commissioner Durrell, you were saying something?
Just thank you, Mr. Mayor, for a sometimes thankless job. You did a great job for us, and good luck in the future. Thank you very much for all you did for us.
Thanks, Roby.
Well,
I mean, it's commissioner report, so.
without being emotional, there is no doubt, John, that you have a heart bigger than this room. For all of us here, for me personally, all the times you've been at my house, and the last time until the wee hours of the morning, you did it because you love us and you love this town. And there's no doubt in my mind that everything you've done in an altruistic way. Never to hurt anyone, never to intentionally do anything wrong. The decisions that were made when you were mayor were not easy ones. I was up here on the dais when the economy was great. We had money. The budget meetings were actually fun. When you came on board as our leader, the budget was in the toilet, and I don't know how else to describe it. It was extremely, and still is, challenging. Myra is correct. You were the leader when we had no money to do these fun and sexy projects that we did in the boom days. We had a lot of employees that were coming in and out, that were giving us challenges. And you as our leader had to deal with those challenges, and you did so in a very graceful and respectful way that I so much admire. The town is going to miss you. I mean, I'm going to miss you big time. Change is hard, and but we have to embrace it and think of the good times and move forward with our lives. And so I wish you the best, and I'm sure everybody else here feels the same.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay. That's the most intense public comments time I've ever had.
And we're not done.
So.
The roasting part didn't.
So, on behalf of the staff and the commission, we would like to give you this, this plaque. It says, "In grateful appreciation for your years of dedicated service and commitment to the town of Palm Beach Shores, March 30th, 2009 through March 28th, 2016. And as you can see, it's a sailboat, and it's got our seal on it. So, fair winds and following. And there's going to be cake and lemonade and everything afterwards. So please, everyone stay, and we're going to have a party. Okay, Kathy, party. Okay, we're here. Right.
We got you, Moira.
There's,
Wow, look at that. Really, you like politics? That's great. We're smiling here. Well, I don't have any prepared remarks for tonight. I thought between now and next Monday being transition day, when I formally step down, I plan to pen a note to residents and kind of a farewell letter. But as I've mentioned, this has certainly been the honor of my life. Obviously, when you grow up in the same place that you still live in, 37 years later, it means a great deal. And each of you represent a part of my life and my journey, and the opportunity to serve in this role has been the honor and privilege of my life, and it comes with its good days and great days, and then not so good days, but that's what makes it all so worthwhile, and the opportunity to engage every single day on issues that's important to each one of us has just been incredible. Certainly I've grown as an individual, and hopefully what I've learned I'll take forward and help some other cause or purpose or organization in the future. So I'm not sure what that is, but I knew probably a year ago that it was time for transition for myself personally, and change is good. It's time for fresh leadership and new leadership to step in. I think many of us can observe whether, regardless of what side of the political aisle you fall on and which presidents you support or don't support, typically after 8 years of office, everyone's ready to see them move on and someone fresh take the reins. So that certainly, I think, is healthy and positive for even at the local level. So I want to thank each one of you for allowing me to serve, and I will cherish it for a lifetime. So thanks so much. All right, moving to public comments. Opportunity for you to weigh in on any issues. We'll start my left, your right, and move across the room. We allow 3 minutes. Unless it's important, we'll extend. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bob Wilson, 225 Tacoma Lane. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of questions tonight, but I do have some issues that concern me. I know probably our new mayor will be dealing with them, and they're with regard to the underground electrical installation that's being proposed.
Now, we are going to get to a portion of undergrounding where I'll open it up for discussion and questions from the audience on undergrounding. You're welcome to use your 3 minutes now and speak to that, but rest assured we're going to have ample time for that, so it's totally up to you.
What I've got is a written list of 9 items that I would like to see responded to, and if I may leave it with you, I'm not looking for an answer tonight.
Okay.
Some of them might be a little deeper than what
Okay.
we
Do you want to go ahead and read those into the record now?
I would rather just offer it to you for future.
All right. So the clerk can take those, and then she can distribute those to the commission via email tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we'll get you an answer, Bob.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comments? Elaine, did I see you?
Yes.
Okay.
When you say...
And we're on go-to-meeting. I'm sorry, Elaine. We've got to use that mic.
Robbie, you can't hear me?
I can hear you fine.
I know that. Whoops, sorry, hold your ears. When these police and the fire and so forth give their comments, you ask, are there any comments? Now, I thought that was for you all to comment. Is that correct? Not for us to raise our hand. Is that what?
Well, traditionally, yes, it's the opportunity for the commission to engage the department head and ask questions. Obviously, historically, we've always had an open dialogue with residents. So if it got out of hand, it would be my opportunity to focus those comments to public comments to control the meeting. But it is Palm Beach Shores, and we try to keep an open dialogue with residents. But that's the primary
All
opportunity.
right, because I've forgotten what I was going to ask on some of them, and all of this other excitement. And
Okay.
thank you for your steadfastness, by the way,
Thank you.
John. The daily rap sheet, what is that called, Chief? You know, at the police station, we used to be able to go in and look at it every morning.
Well, we could print something out, but it's just, typically they call it a blotter or what have you for the crimes for the night before.
Okay,
But some days there's not much, other days it's a little more.
gosh. I hope not much is prevalent. Bob, about the fire, could you tell us again what involvement Riviera Beach has? When you get an alarm, do they automatically come whether you want them or not?
Is that the question, John? Yeah. Okay, here's the deal. The only time Riviera on a fire call responds is if it's a structure fire, and then they are toned out by the 911. Riviera does not respond to fire alarms. Okay? So, if we go to a Bellevue and we're on a fire alarm and it is a working fire, we can then ask the 911 to send help, which would be more than likely Riviera if they were capable. But the only time they automatically send somebody out is with an actual structure fire. So with that call that we had here at the, I think it was the 23rd of February, that was called in as a structure fire. They were automatically toned out by county. Okay? So although we didn't really need them, it allows everybody to know that the 911 call system, the county system, works.
So if you call 911, everybody hears about it, Riviera included.
We didn't call 911.
I mean, if I had a fire in my house and I called 911.
That's correct. Well, not everyone. Everyone meaning whoever's on our channel, which is channel 5, would know.
Okay.
But if it was an actual structure fire, they would be toned down. Yes. If it was a fire alarm, they would get nothing. Okay?
Alan, you know as well as anyone in this room how important the little things are to make the community look good. When are those ballasts going to come in? There are about 8 lights on the inlet out now. I know you've had a time with the
Yes.
Canadian importing.
Well,
them.
good news, I picked those up on Friday, so we will be repairing them this week. We do have all the material now for those.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
It's little things that people who are visiting notice, gee, this place, look at all the lights out.
Right.
It's important.
Yes, and we do have 6 that are out on the inlet, that is correct.
Right, but Elaine, you're right, the problem is that we have to order them from Canada because they're Canadian lights, so it takes us a while to get them, but we'll
Yeah.
try and stock them ahead of time.
And I did,
stop
I ordered plenty.
I have pantry, I'll share.
We have control.
And when we need, it will also help us, but right now, those sized lamp posts, they do not offer an LED conversion yet, but as soon as they do, they are working on it, then we can do that, and then we'll be able to repair them within the next
Well,
day or so.
thank you, Paul.
Kathy.
Kathy Summers, 217 Tacoma Lane. And I have to preference to say that, yes, I am Canadian, and yes, I am here in America because you let me come. And I want to say I do appreciate being here. But I also want to say, because I don't have a vote, I really, really appreciate the fact that I can get up and spout off and say exactly what I feel. It doesn't do any good, I know, but I feel better doing it. So I really want to thank you for the opportunity of doing it, because it's not everywhere that I can speak directly to the mayor, to the vice mayor, and to the council, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We value your voice.
If
you need help with those lights from Canada, let me know.
Hey, Rick. Hey, Rick.
Mr. Howard, and Dick's on the end, so he'll be laughing at Mr. Howard's one seat in.
Chuck Howard, 1101 Beach Road. I'll be very brief. I had a few questions out of the 79 pages that I looked at for the agenda, but I will only have one request, and that is that the sign ordinance be explained in detail this evening. It's rather vague to me, and maybe it's just a simple mind coming to terms with a piece of paper, but I need someone to just to elaborate on that signage.
Okay.
Thank you.
The plan is, I believe, per recommendation and guidance from our attorney, is before adopting on second reading, the recommendation is to actually have a workshop to unpack that ordinance further. So that will provide an entire meeting just for that, so, okay. Thank you.
Dick Wazanski, 220 Inlet Way. It's first of all, congratulations to both Mayor Workman and his transition and Myra and her new assignment as mayor of this town, from my standpoint. I'm going to, in the near future, work with whatever channels in lobbying through the Environmental Committee and Grace and the Department of Public Works, Alan, and the Commission and whatever, with this water table thrust. Previously, I had control of 22 acres in Fort Lauderdale and was able to get the Water Management District to come in and at no cost or low cost and do a study leading to getting rid of a lot of unnecessary irrigation. The Environmental Committee has been involved recently with, as you can see out of the flagpole here, with taking little bits of grassy areas that use up a lot of water from the aquifer and the wells and stuff, and put in, low cost, no cost, type of plantings and stuff, rock, and I encourage everybody to take a look out there. It's the future of conserving water. And what I'm getting to is that I guess this guy, Alan Davies from Riviera Beach or whatever, is somewhat involved with control of the water management district around here. I'll familiarize myself with that, but I want to be politically correct and go through whoever I need to go through to get to the point where we can get somebody come in and show, the commission and Public Works and the Environmental Committee and all the residents that big time dollars, can be saved by taking away irrigation heads and taking a lot of these little islands of grass. Nobody's going to replace all the grass, and but if you kill a lot of irrigation heads, you save a heck of a lot of water. You save a lot of money that can be reflected in the budget, budgets going forward. And it's my goal to, save this town a lot of water money in the sustainability effort, working with whatever lobbies I have to work with. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other comments before we move past public comments? All right, Commissioner DeRue, you had a comment you wanted to make?
I forgot to mention in the report, I just wanted to say thank you to the Property Owners Association for, I understand, donating a sound system in the community center where people can hear very well. And I don't know the value of it, but it must have been very expensive. But thank you to the POA.
Well, we have the president of the POA that led those efforts, and the town is most appreciative of an upgraded sound system from the podium mic, and I believe it was a $5,000 in-kind contribution.
$5,285.
Any pennies?
No.
No pennies. And it's a Bose system?
Similar.
Similar, okay. Yeah, it's very nice and very effective, so.
Thank you.
Thank you to the POA. Let us know if you're interested in a overhead projector system for that room. Moving from public comments to miscellaneous business, agenda item 7A, Marriott's request for temporary use of beach parking lot. Vice Mayor.
Right. So this has to do with the Ocean Avenue Drainage Project, which is starting on April 4th, down between Edwards Lane and Claremont. As a result of that, there will be the road will be closed for a number of weeks. We will do a full information system. We will do probably a town meeting, and we will send out lots of information and post detour signs and everything, so everyone is well aware of the timetable and the closures. The way this affects the Marriott is they will no longer be able to access the parking lot that is for their tennis courts, and the apartment building that's next to it, it's the Shores apartment, they're on the corner of Tacoma and Atlantic. They have 4 or 5 parking spaces that they also will not be able to get to. We're planning to still be able to route pedestrian traffic through, so that should not stop, but street traffic will have to go. The bus will have to be routed around. We'll have to make sure Riviera Beach knows for ambulance calls and all of that. Since the Marriott, they're losing about 10 spaces, they asked us if we could possibly compensate them with allowing them to park in the beach lot during the day with some of their employees. Now, we just kicked them all out of there, but since we're the ones who are causing the problem in this situation, we did want to have a discussion to see if we could accommodate them. I would say that we would only allow them to be there if it is indeed a problem. A lot of their snowbirds will have gone home. What aggravates their parking problem during the high season is that people come for 3 months at a time, they bring 2 cars, they take up an extra amount of space. So it may not be necessary for them to do that, but we do want to make sure that the Marriott, who are such good neighbors to us and are such big contributors to the bottom line of this town, that we take care of them. So that was why we are putting this on the agenda. So I would move that we allow the Marriott Ocean Point to use up to 10 parking spaces for their staff during the day from April 4th through, for whichever weeks that their tennis court parking lot is unavailable for use.
I second the motion.
It's motioned and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in. Mr. McNeil.
Yeah, just a quick one. Will they have a designated section?
We can put them in a designated section, and we'll give them some parking passes, so we'll know which cars they are as well.
Yeah, rather than willy-nilly. Here's 10 sections.
Put them in the back. We can't put them all the way in the back because the construction project is going to be using that grassy area in order to stage all of their equipment.
Yeah.
But we can, so that part of it's going to be partially gone as well. But we can get them back away from the entrance to the community center.
Does that make it easier for both sides?
Yeah. Thank you. Good luck.
Is that a tweak to your motion to designate the spaces?
Well,
That can be at staff level.
It can, I'm asking.
not necessarily.
Okay.
All right, the motion stands. It's motioned and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor, reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 7B, undergrounding of utilities. If you'll recall, at last month's meeting, I proposed the idea of a town-wide survey that will help the commission make the decision to move forward in the due diligence process of securing a binding cost estimate for the underground project, so that the commission can then proceed to public meetings and workshops to address the financing portion of that project, logistics and project management. I put together a cover letter that I'll read the gist of it in terms of where I was heading, to solicit then some responses from the commission, and then to get some guidance on the next steps of this straw poll survey that we want to do. So here's the first draft of it. Obviously, by the time we approve this, and myself and Myra and staff work to finalize the verbiage, I will have departed as mayor, so we will need approval from the commission just to move forward with this conceptually, and then it would obviously have to go off to print and be organized in a specific format in order to execute it properly. So it'll take a couple of weeks to probably execute that. Dear residents, for the past year and a half, the Town Commission has hosted individuals with knowledge and expertise in the area of converting overhead utilities to underground. These same individuals have also had the opportunity to speak at 3 different property owners association meetings and to answer questions from residents and to educate everyone regarding the details of such a project. The benefits of converting all overhead utilities to underground would not only provide a drastic and meaningful improvement to our town's overall aesthetic appeal and offer a positive impact on property values, but it would help to ensure that our town maintains power during and following a major storm event. The next step in considering this project is for the town to pursue a binding cost estimate from Florida Power and Light. The approximate cost for this estimate is a non-refundable amount of $30,000. This cost would be applied to the overall cost of the undergrounding project, however, should the town decide to move forward. At this time, the Town Commission would like to hear from all property owners before it moves to the next step of requesting a binding cost estimate. Attached, you will find a simple survey card which allows each property to simply say yes or no to this project. Your vote of yes will tell the Town Commission that you are generally in favor of this project and would like to see the town continue to the next step of due diligence. Obviously, your vote of no indicates that you are not in favor of the town pursuing this project. It is important to note the response of this survey will not be the final determination as to whether the town will commence with this large undertaking. It will simply provide the Town Commission with the general will of the people, of the property owners. Following receipt of the binding cost estimate, the Commission will hold public meetings to further discuss the financing options, logistics, and project management components of this project before it makes a final decision. So with that, I would somewhat like a motion from the Commission that would allow myself, the Vice Mayor and staff to continue to put together the cover letter with the attached document that will be a facts on the project, estimated cost, timeline, some of the questions that were aired at the public meetings, and then an attachment of a survey card which would allow property owners to simply cast yes or no. We had discussed that the survey would provide 1 vote per property owner, and the recommendation was 1 vote per property owner, excluding timeshares in this straw poll. So it would allow people that are registered voters and people that are not registered voters in the town but are property owners to weigh in on this issue and to either say yes, Town Commission, let's move forward, let's get the solid cost of this project, figure out how we'll finance it and the logistics, or say no, don't even move another step. So that's the general concept moving forward. So what say you as a commission for next steps? Thoughts? Commissioner Durrell, are you with us still?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to proceed with the survey to find out the feeling of most property owners and proceed with that. And I'm hoping we could have, I don't know if it should be more than a yes or no, and maybe it should be yes, but I need to know the funding options, or will that be explained in the documentation?
Well, as the direction I was taking at this point was to make it a simple yes. You know, if everything comes together, the financing, logistics and all, in concept, yes, we're in favor as a property owner of the undergrounding project, or simply no, it's a waste of time and money and resources to even consider it, because I think there'll be ample time in the future, once the commission has binding cost estimates in hand, can workshop the logistics, can workshop the project management portion of it, to then potentially get more specific with a possible future sample poll of property owners at that time.
Okay, so I'm fine with a yes or no, but I think we should proceed with the survey.
Okay.
And I would make that motion if that's needed.
All right. So the motion that would probably be needs to contain authorization for the mayor and staff to formulate and draft the survey, and also that the survey will be provided to all Palm Beach Shores property owners, excluding timeshares.
The only thing that I think should be added is you should figure out what reasonable representation is and have some follow-up mechanism to get there. Whether it's 30% is your expected return, or just so that you know you're getting a broad sweep of the population. So what, I guess I'll ask you this way. What would you do if 10 responses are all that came through?
Right.
Right.
Well, and I mean, that could be, that'll be up to the commission at that point. If only 10 people weigh in, then the commission's going to convene, and here's the results of the straw poll, and you're going to say, well, 10 votes mean nothing, and toss it out, or, you know. And we also kind of need to have a consensus on the appropriate amount of time for property owners to respond. You know, is 30 days ample? You know, it'll be done by mail, you know, and then have a deadline that we'll have to print. So that's something that we should gauge as well. Mr. Howard?
I don't know if I could be heard by Roby. However, my concern is if in fact the town as a majority says go on through the $30,000 project, will the final evaluation be by referendum or be by commission?
Well, that'll be a decision that the commission, if the straw poll comes back with a majority of property owners saying, yes, we are generally in favor of undergrounding, the commission will then go through the next couple of public meeting phases to nail down the financing options, logistics, and project management. And at that point, the commission will need to determine, do we need to do this through a formal referendum or another straw poll, or move forward with the project?
My concern would be that I believe it would be very positive if in fact we had at the end of the road a referendum. I think people might be reluctant if in fact if something of such major undertaking was with only 5 of our elected officials.
Understood.
And it's just a process question, can the entire town vote in a referendum or only registered voters?
Registered voters.
That's
If it's an official referendum.
yeah, you have to be registered voters in order to participate. So that excludes non-homesteaded residents who contribute quite a bit, and then others, they wouldn't be able to participate.
Or if the straw poll process worked well initially, then we could do that again the same way and use the same results and let more people participate. So, but that would not be an official referendum at that point.
Just remember, depending on assuming you get to that point, depending on the financing option.
Right, if we go for bonds, we have to go to referendum, right.
That-
Kathy?
I would like to see the wording in your first couple of sentences that you're sending out. You're very slanted in your wording, which means that you are for it as a council now. I don't like to see that. I want you to put out, I would like you to put out something that is,
Or neutral?
more neutral. You are saying that it will beautify the town, blah, blah, blah. But that is slanting, and I would like that to be more neutral and giving both sides of it, or not saying that at all.
I understand that.
It's only your opinion that it is gonna beautify the town. It's not what you want to come back.
Right, but if the commission adopted that letter, obviously the commission as the whole is potentially interested and probably interested in this project to move forward with it. If they weren't, then they would not share any positives.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're gonna provide a supporting document with, you know, the pros and cons of the project.
As much the cons as the pros, then I'm happy with it. But I think
But
it's
there's
very, it's
nothing-
very slanted, and I think people will be slanted reading your first part of it.
Right.
I just want you to
Right.
be more neutral on that.
I understand that. So it's, you know, it's up to the commission in terms of direction. Obviously, in terms of adopting this, so we all stand up here and have one vote. In my opinion, I would not have pursued the concept of this all these years had I not thought that it was a positive for the town. Yes, there's a significant cost to the project, and there's logistical challenges to manage, but other municipalities have done this effectively and buried their lines, so there needs to be, you know, town leadership needs to communicate why we're even going down this path and pursuing it for the betterment of the town. So, Mr. Howard.
Mr. Mayor, I believe that right now the major draw is power lines. I would think that if it were to also factor in our outdated water lines and things of that nature, I think it would receive a more favorable opinion. I think we have greater needs for water supply lines than we do the power lines. However, if they could coexist and be done either in sequence or consecutively, I would think that it would be a more open and more willing venture.
One bond.
I throw that out to you. I'm talking, if we're going underground, then consider everything. Consider your cable, your electrical,
No,
your.
fair statement, but I think that consideration comes once we have at least a binding cost. I mean, the true purpose of this document is, hey, the town commission wants to invest 30 grand approximately and get a cost for this project. You've got to have the binding cost before you can lay it up against the cost of water lines, and the water line consideration and issue can be considered at that point. But you're saying to put the water lines in the survey too as a way to sell the whole package.
I would ask that it be within the document, the piece of correspondence, the cover letter that you're going to submit and disseminate. I think it would be, for instance, I look at aesthetics as nice, but we pretty much have them in the back of every home anyway. However, what's going to come and face us more quickly and more shockingly is going to be are those water lines.
Our water is tested every month, Chuck.
I understand. I understand that.
We get the reports all the time, so.
I understand that. However, you're also talking extremely old lines that are susceptible to crackage, breakage, cracks, and what have you.
But I don't want to argue, but that brings in Riviera Beach, and that would make the project go much longer. It would be just so much more complicated to, and going in a whole different area. So I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying that this project is going to be very complicated as it is, and to bring in Riviera Beach to fix water lines that are currently okay might be a bit of overkill as far as I'm concerned. But we keep an eye on the water quality, and
if memory serves correctly, our road networks were waiting for Riviera Beach, which I think was about 2 years ago. We were supposed to be on the budget. However, our town manager found that we were about 10 years ahead of schedule, that they weren't planning on doing anything for us for 10 years for our systems. So I don't know where we stand at this point in time. But I know
that's why we keep an eye on the water quality. So if we start to see it deteriorate, then we have something that we can go to Riviera Beach with to say, now you have to do something about it. So that's why we keep an eye on it all the time. We get the reports from them.
That's and I can confirm that Marriott's Ocean Point does their own water testing, and they acknowledge what you have just commented.
And there were positive steps forward at one point, and conversations with Riviera Beach to update perimeter lines. However, politics played in Riviera Beach, and Riviera Beach residents were saying, well, why in the world are we going to pay for and provide brand new water lines for Palm Beach Shores when a chunk of our residents have the same aged water lines, if not older? Why aren't we investing there? And so politics played out, and the effort to provide the update for our town was checkmated by that consideration. So, you're dealing with another municipality, and as long as they're meeting water standards, other than playing a PR game, I don't know how you mandate that they provide new water lines if they're not doing that for their residents. Yes, we want our water lines updated, but I'm not certain that this project and moving forward with a binding cost estimate should be delayed while those long-term and intense negotiations take place. But I hear what you're saying, so thank you. Grace.
Yes, I would just respectfully disagree with the prior speaker, Kathy. It seems to me that the commission is going to send out the survey is because you think this is an idea that's worthy of pursuing. So in a sense, you already have a positive thought on it, and you're asking for the feedback of the community. I don't think that letter has to be neutral. I think what has to be neutral is the fact card. Whatever the facts are, whatever you present, those should not be slanted pro or con. But that's my opinion.
Right. I agree. I understand completely Kathy's desire for it to be neutral, especially if you were opposed to it conceptually from the expense or just opposed to it. I understand that. But again, the individuals up here like to try to promote ideas and projects for the betterment of the town, and it's our position to try to lead the town towards what we think are projects that would only benefit the town. Mr. McGill, yes. Commissioner Durrell will be thankful.
Good evening. A little bombshell come in here that a lot of people won't be able to vote on this if it goes to a referendum. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. The main issue we have here is whether we want to spend the $30,000 to get as much information out to the town residents. Good factual information from FP&L.
That's exactly it.
All right. Spend the money. $30,000. We've been throwing that around here a lot lately. We buy a new generator for $36,000 for emergency purposes.
Town manager, Savage.
We buy a new bucket loader. All right. There's no problem. I don't think we have an issue if we spend the $30,000 come back to us with those facts that we gain. You'll be gone. Myra is filling in admirably. I have no problem with that at all, okay? She can handle the project, all right? But we'll put it on your resume as what you've done. Okay, so it's your legacy.
We'll give them credit for it.
Listen, I would have liked to have seen it happen, but I'm happy to be leaving the town debt-free versus.
That's fine, John.
Myra could take on the debt.
I'm not here to nitpick like that. I want to see this thing move forward to a point that we all of us, especially the people who are not homesteaders, but contribute mightily to the town.
Well, that's why we're doing a straw poll, Frank.
Pardon me?
That's why we're doing a straw poll, for that very reason.
Yeah, the straw poll doesn't do that because you also said that you could do whatever you wanted after you got the straw poll. But if you send the straw poll out with not enough information, it's like sending somebody to the candy store. How much candy do you want? Oh, I want this, and this. How much is it gonna cost me? Oh, I don't know, but how much, what do you want?
Well, but we do have estimates, and there are things that we can tell people in the facts page behind it that will give them a good idea.
Right.
It's the actual project plan that we need to detail.
The whole project is based on FP&L is the main contributor. We have AT&T, our telephone people, and we have other people who need to contribute as to what it's gonna cost the town for them to join the project.
But anytime you do bids, you have to have a common set of plans upon which all of the construction companies will bid. And that's what we're gonna pay the $30,000 to FP&L for, is so that they can come back to us and say, this is how the project's gonna work. This is where the transformers are gonna be. This is where we can do the under boring and all of this, and this is how the whole thing's gonna lay out. And then you take that plan and FP&L bids on it, and other construction companies bid on it, maybe other utility companies bid on it, and then we get the best price and the best management, and then we go forward. But it's not just the $30,000. It's gonna require some staff time. It's gonna be a pretty big commitment for the town, even just to get through the FP&L process. So that's why we wanna make sure that people are with us before we go forward. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. I think it's wonderful that we're asking people up front to say, do you want us to make this commitment or not?
But how can we make an honest commitment if we don't know what it's going to cost?
Well, I guess you bring up a good point. We're going through this process of drafting a letter, drafting a fax page, drafting the survey, mailing it out, really for the approval to spend $30,000 to.
That's all you're asking us to do.
So the question could be asked, because the commission probably believes, based on your communication with residents, that probably, I'd say the majority of the residents.
To allocate the money and be done
with it.
But we felt that, I guess,
we
feel
get the
that
approval of the
it
residents.
would be nice to hear what the residents have to say to spend that expenditure if they don't even want to pursue the project. You know, we'll be criticized either way, obviously.
Okay, so.
You know, for the pay that we get up here on the dais, we'll be criticized either way.
That's what
So maybe
happens
we
when
should
you
just make a
volunteer.
motion
You
to
get
pay,
criticized
spend the
for it anyhow.
$30,000 and be done with it. We're just trying to ask you all to
Hey,
have a straw poll,
I'm the
which
cheapest
may
SOP
mean,
around here. I
which
don't want
may
you to
mean-
spend any more money.
Well-
I'm saying spend the $30,000.
But how much is
Are you, in general, are you for or against the project?
I'm against it.
yeah, okay, so, you know, so
But-
in one hand, you say spend the $30,000, and in the other hand,
say
you
to-
say let's not do the project,
because
right?
right now-
So whatever we do, we'll be criticized, especially from you.
So
And
what?
all we're
Right or
asking
wrong?
is to have a straw poll
I
to
don't,
see
I
whether we
don't
should move
criticize
forward or
what
not.
you vote on. But you have this thing set up and it's slanted right now in terms of making it look so good to everybody that will say, yeah, go ahead, let's look at it a little further. but we're gonna get into goddamn deep.
It's so good,
Spend the
it's so good,
30,000
and
and
it's,
give us some solid information.
Frank, it's so good, and it's $4 million. I mean, it's not like we're hiding the money.
Okay, so what,
it's
you
$4
don't
million.
know that
That's
that's
the number.
gonna be the cost.
And that's what we're gonna put, we're gonna tell people essentially what we know so far and what we will know more after this is done. I think that's, you know, we keep getting criticized for not being transparent and
Not transparent
getting people
here.
involved, and that's what we're trying to
You
do.
try to be
So I think-
transparent and you get up there and you criticize us, I'm sorry.
So
Donna.
Frank, I
It's
think
getting
we're trying
really
to,
aggravated.
Only one
So,
commissioner at a time.
so we're trying to, so we would like, I think we should go ahead with the straw poll. I think we should put together the letter. We will, I think we should perhaps have a special, once we get everything done, if we're not done by, if we're done earlier than the next commission meeting, we can have a special meeting. We'll go through exactly the package and the process so that the commission can sign off on it, and then we will go forward. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Elaine?
I would like, prior to your letter, a very inexpensive email. What do you know about it? Do you criticize, do you have a con and you have a pro? Because I don't know the pros and cons, and I think whoever mentioned getting a list of cons on there is a valuable thing, and you could just do that casually with an email, just to get a feel, and then you could list that. You said you're going to
That's
list it.
subjective too,
Yeah.
okay? The cons are subjective too.
Well, yes, but that's their feelings.
Well, the cons we were gonna communicate, because not everybody still, I'm assuming, checks email all the time, or is email savvy necessarily. The majority of everybody is, but that was the purpose of this, to
But-
communicate the facts.
Do
Hey,
you
it's gonna
have-
cost $4 million.
Is that a con?
It will probably be paid for potentially by utility taxes or a higher millage rate. Those financing options will have to be considered down the road, but it's gonna cost $30,000 today to get to a binding cost estimate. And here's maybe some benefits of buried power lines. So that's what the survey was gonna
Okay.
communicate.
If you get those things down, I think that's good, but also, there's gonna be a mess, and you're gonna be inconvenienced, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I'd like to see the pros and the cons in your letter.
And that's what we're
And
planning
what
on.
I'm wondering is if there are people who have other cons or pros that we have not talked about. And I thought an email, hey, what do you think? We're working on a letter here, we wanna put pros and cons out.
So that's why I say, let us put the package together, the full package, with the exact plan, and then who we're gonna mail it to, how it's gonna work, how are we gonna count the ballots, what's the letter gonna say, what's the fact sheet gonna say, and come back to the commission, and we'll go through it in detail, and you all guys can, if we miss something, you can help us put it in there before it goes out to the people. So, we'll shoot for the next commission meeting, or we'll try and get it done before that if we can. That's what I would say.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I
Really?
have no problem, that's fine. But you've expanded on what he's already got there, so that's helpful.
I maybe said it differently.
Thank you.
Ike?
Don't say anything.
Say anything.
Shut up and sit down. You told me to say that. Calm down, Ike.
A little bit of a history lesson here. Benjamin Franklin, he had that kite, and the lightning hit it, and then old Thomas Edison came along and he got that light bulb going. And then there was a group of investors that said, hey, what if we could spread wires all over town and everybody could have a light bulb? And everybody said, that's great. And people said, yeah, we'll pay our $2 a month. We'll pay our $2 a month or $10 a month. And everything flourished. And there was power and hydro and whatever you want to call it, all over this great land. And then FP&L. And if you have ever read, I'm sure you all have, their P&L statement, they're not really starving for cash. I'd like to know who invited who here was it Palm Beach Shores that said to FPL, hey FPL, we'd like to see how much it would cost to go underground because we got all these ugly wires? Or was it FPL that said, hey, we gotta upgrade our lines and maybe we could go underground? But the residents would have to contribute. The fact of the matter is, we all pay our electrical bill, and if FPL wants to go underground, tell them to go underground. If they want to put the concrete poles in, they have to do something to the lines that are there because they're deteriorating. I'm saying, it's not our problem. It really isn't our problem. Tell FPL,
Go fly a kite.
go fly a kite. You go underground or you go overhead.
So you would vote no, but that's the idea behind the straw.
Yes, but the thing is, we're going through all these discussions about,
Well, if everybody feels you're the same way as you, I think what they're saying is we won't move forward with even spending $30,000. But if everybody said we don't agree with you, then we would move forward with spending the $30,000 for more information to go.
yes, well,
Because you're an opinion in this room, but there's more residents than just the people in this room.
I recognize that, I'm not the only person with opinion here. But all I'm saying is that I often wonder who initially started this conversation.
It was the state of Florida who started this conversation.
Okay,
And the state of Florida mandated that all of the utility companies in the state harden their lines.
Yeah.
And they put them all on a schedule, and we are on the schedule for this year.
mhm.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, 'cause, so, so they've told us that they're gonna come in here and do the big concrete poles along the main thoroughfares, and they're gonna leave the old wooden poles behind the houses. And in order to
Comply with the state.
comply with the state. The only way they won't, and we think those are ugly and will harm the look of the town, though they will help us somewhat with being able to keep our power going, but not entirely because the wood, I'm walking around for the past month, going and talking to people. I was looking at the power lines behind everybody's house, and everybody's house has palm tree fronds wrapped all around them. We've had 2 transformer fires already this year. So that will not solve either the aesthetic problem, the safety problem, or the reliability problem. For
Not,
us. So, wait. So we said, well, what if we go underground instead? And they said, well, we're an overground company, we don't do that, but we'll give you,
there's the answer.
they're an overground company, they won't do that unless we pay for it.
Beautiful.
So now, the town of Palm Beach spent $500,000 suing and working through the state in order to force Florida Power and Light to give us a 25% rebate on the cost of undergrounding. They footed the bill over there. So we were getting a free ride on the $500,000 that they spent over there in order to force Florida Power and Light to rebate us 25% of the cost of doing this, as long as the whole town goes under. So if we don't do this year, then we lose that 25%, we'll get the big concrete poles, and it will never be cheaper than doing it now. So if we don't do it, then we all need to know that that this is the way we're gonna be looking for a very long time.
I have some experience in running power lines, and I have witnessed them putting in those big ugly concrete poles on US 1 with these massive cranes and going over. This costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. And I just get the feeling that FPL is saying, hey, this is great, where we could get private citizens to contribute to us supplying the power. In Ontario, they've now split the power generation and power supply. The people that run the poles, and whether you want to go underground or overhead, it's up to them, and they do it the most efficient way possible. So, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but that's my point. It's FPL's problem, it's not ours. And all we gotta decide is, do we want the ugly concrete poles, which are probably looking better than what we got now, because they got upgraded, it's been there for years and years. It's FPL's problem, not ours. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ike.
Who can negotiate a deal?
You either call Donald Trump or you call me.
Negotiate a deal.
You either call Donald Trump or you call me.
I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job.
There you go.
And then Peter, after her.
Carolyn.
As we prolong the time for the straw poll to come out, one aspect is many of us will be in parts not here. We do not have good postal service in getting mail forwarded. So when you mail out these ballots to every resident, you're not gonna get the best response as to people's ideas, because we're not gonna get the straw poll ballot to vote on in a proper amount of time, if we even get it,
Right.
to get it back to you.
Right.
That's right.
So we can, maybe we'll do an email to notify everybody that it's on their way, and if you don't get it or something, we'll, thank you, Carol. I was thinking about forwarding and all that. I know.
It's awful.
I know.
Right.
It's, the snowbird issue with communication with our residents is an ongoing problem that we have to continually be struggling with. Thank you.
It just looks like, uh-oh.
You know, 125 Ocean Ave, Palm Beach Shores. I first would like to congratulate Myra on her victory, and Gil's our new commissioner, and thank John for all the help that he's given us while he was in office. He was there many times when we were in distress. I don't want to, again, thank you very much, John. I don't want to sound negative on this whole issue, but I do want to speak to you. First of all, as a resident of Palm Beach Shores, my wife and I are both residents, and a citizen of the community. And I'm not trying to pick sides or anything like that, but a point was made, and what John was going to send out is kind of leaning towards the fact that you're in favor of it, and I understand that, and I respect that. But on the same token, there was an article in the paper not too long ago, the Palm Beach Post, and it's about Florida Power and Light, stating that they are a hardened power line above ground. You've probably seen it, John. Myra's probably seen it. And like Ike is talking about also, Florida Power and Light will come into our town. They will install new poles, new concrete poles. They'll go ahead and put brand new wires in, transformers, and update our systems to make it twice as efficient as it is today. The cost to the community is zero. Zero. Palm Beach Shores will install underground utilities for a cost of anywhere between $4 and $5 million when it's all said and done. And and there will be no substantial advantage. It may be aesthetically, and this was told at one of the PLO meetings, right from one of the people from Florida Power and Light. Now, some of the people had mentioned the water lines, the roads, the drainage. There are many, many things that this town, I'm sure, could spend the money on. Again, I'm not trying to be negative on this, but I think that when that letter goes out, it should also inform the community and the people that their electrical system will be upgraded to the 21st century. Efficiently, everything they have is going to work better, at least 50% better. They can monitor things, they can do all the things that they have to do, and it's going to cost them nothing. And then I think that they can make a fair analysis and judgment. And I think that should be directed also. That's all I have to say at this time.
Very good.
Thank you for your time. I'm going to leave all this information, leave it over there so that so that everyone, the commissioners, can read this.
Right. Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Sorry, I missed that.
I take it back now.
Oh, can I say one other thing, John?
Of course.
You mentioned the wires behind the houses. Regardless if it goes underground or outside, they're still gonna be there. And one of the things that.
No, if they're underground, they go underground.
No, I'm talking about the old poles and wires.
That's
right. If we probably looked into it, regardless of what, Alan, I'm sure, being as astute as he is, we probably could get somebody to come in and give us a bid price to take those poles and wires down and probably pay us for the salvage wires and transformers that are on those poles. And probably significantly reduce our cost in that area. And then they could go ahead and fix the backyards of all these homes, and they would aesthetically look beautiful.
And
The poles, the old poles and lines would come down as part of the overall cost of the project, obviously.
And I understand that, but I thought you had mentioned that Florida Power and Light were not going to remove the old poles and wires.
Yes,
Yeah.
if we go underground, all of that comes out.
All
The
of it goes away.
backyard stuff?
Yeah, all that
Yeah,
goes
all
away.
of that in your backyard goes away.
That's one of the,
And
that's a
if
road to the
and if
project.
they put the poles in the front, they don't do it?
No poles, so we would have no poles.
No poles in town, it'd be like you go to a brand new
No,
development.
I
and there's
understand
no
that,
above
John.
ground
All I'm
lines.
saying is
Yeah,
if we
little
go
animals
with
that
the,
go on
if we
the
go
inside
with
of
the
the
poles in the
transformer.
front,
Say that again, I'm sorry?
all the poles would be in the front, they put the concrete poles in.
No, if they put the concrete poles along the main arteries, the
Right.
little wooden poles stay in the backyard.
That's right.
Well, how about the telephone and all that?
All that stays in
All
the
that.
backyard then.
All you guys.
But if they,
Even if
they
they,
will anyway,
anyway.
for TV and,
No, all the TV, everything moves to the front. If we go underground, all of the utility, we're not calling it putting the electrical lines underground, we're calling it putting the utility lines underground. Telephone, cable, electric, all of that goes down underneath, the poles go away, the town is clean.
Right, we know that, Myra, but the poles, if they put the poles on the main artery, Myra,
Yeah.
they also move the telephone and communications on those lines.
Well, they're just replacing poles. The existing utilities are gonna stay in the present place, they're just gonna be hardened with new poles.
That's right, exactly. So the poles that are in the backyard, okay?
Those are laterals, we're talking about feeder lines which come down Atlantic.
They're gonna carry nothing.
No, they carry the electricity to the homes and they carry the cable and the,
Oh, even if, I understand what you're saying now. So what you're saying is that, Myra, now you misunderstood. I'm glad I found that out. I thought that when they put the poles out in the front, that the poles in the back of the house were no longer gonna be there.
no, if they harden along the main roads, those little wooden poles carrying the electrical, the cable, the telephone, they would all stay. And so they would still be at risk of being knocked down in a storm and knocking people's power out for weeks at a time. So we would, the main lines would be hardened, but the lines that go to, and you know, you and I, because we're at a condo,
Yeah.
we'd be attached, you know, we're fine. It's the houses that will still be suffering in a storm and still be suffering from the aesthetics of having these ugly wooden poles and lines going through their backyards. They're the ones, unfortunately, it's the houses that will bear the brunt of having the work done, but it's also, I think, the houses that will get the most benefit from having the work done. Not financially, but I think aesthetically and from a reliability and a safety standpoint.
And then you have ugly poles in the front and ugly poles in the back.
Well,
There is no poles in the front.
Yeah,
Well,
let me
I
just
think
say
that-
this, it sounds like we need to, or you guys, or whoever's gonna head this up, need to explain, maybe, and I had said this before, you know, frequently asked questions with an answer. I had said that before. You know, there's questions in the audience that lead me to believe that even though we may have communicated this time and time again in workshops, there's still some confusion out there.
Certainly
That
is.
people don't understand the facts.
Right.
There's also another fact that the legislature for the last 2 sessions has been pounded on by the utility companies to force municipalities to pay for the relocation of any line. which would be mandated, which means we would not even get a rebate if the utility companies prevail. That's another fact. So maybe what we need to do is do a better job explaining the history, because there is some history, explaining what would be left or not left if we did it one way or the other way, or maybe creating some, here's the question, here's the answer, here's the question, here's the answer. Maybe not in a pro and con thing, but obviously there's questions out there that are throwing some confusion in this, and the more we can.
Well, that's what the survey was gonna do. It was gonna, for the first time in writing, communicate a Q&A.
Well, but basically what you're saying, maybe the question isn't
What-
yes or no, we underground. Maybe the question is, yes, we underground, or yes, or yes, we go with the poles and keep, and so it's not, right, so they know, so those are actually the two changes.
Well,
We're changing either way. Which way do you wanna go? Do you wanna go this way, or do you wanna go that
and
way?
maybe that's the,
Maybe that's
the
the
way to go, because
Right.
we're gonna be forced to go one way or the other.
That's right. So
So-
maybe that's the right question to ask.
It appears to me that it's that there are questions that are either we're not communicating right, or
And maybe, truthfully, the commission.
we don't all understand all of the facts, which include the history and include potential mandates down the line, which we haven't even talked about tonight, that need to be expressed to them in writing, so it can be read.
And understood.
And understood.
Myra, I'm gonna take you up on that offer. I think you made an offer, you were gonna show me that so I can really clearly understand. And I'm not being facetious, I am really confused now, because I really thought that by putting the poles on the main arteries, they were gonna hook right into like an electrical box at the home and do away with the wires and stuff in the back.
No.
And I'm glad I found that out.
Okay, so thank you.
And I have a whole
All right, so I
different,
think
I have a whole different view of
I
it
think
now.
we need to do some work and come back to everybody with,
Well, let's wrap it up. I'm
just got-
I'm enjoying all of this.
Yeah, this is good.
I got a worldwide growth. I got a world. Get out of
Stop it. Stop it.
Well, duke it out.
So, on the straw poll, we talk about straw poll, yes or no. But it should be just a little more explanation saying what I perceive it to be is you're going to have poles on the perimeter road and underground on the lateral road, and you will have a pedestal on
no, there will be either all underground or
even
no
the
underground.
perimeter, everything's underground.
There will be either
Okay.
all underground or no underground.
Right. Good. I like that. And everything is underground, and there's pedestals on every 3-4 houses, and that's not a big deal.
They're still under.
But on the straw poll, if you just give a little information as to what we know now before we spend the 30,000.
We plan on it, and you will see that.
Excellent.
I like to think Myra was on, it's gonna be one way or the other way.
See, I would.
This conversation was really helpful because it helped me.
I would almost think after hearing this, because there's fear that this straw poll, if not controlled like a campaign, that it's the final decision and that the commission's going to, by God, do this project. That's the fear of it. It almost sounds like to me, the commission needs to, now that the elections have come and gone, take the political fortitude to just approve the $30,000 to get all the cost all the costs, so that you can once and for all workshop it and then have a one time, whether it's a referendum or formal straw poll, to say yes or no to the project at a time certain months down the road. So that would be a recommendation. I wouldn't motion for you guys to consider that, but I think if the commission believes the project is worthwhile, these commissioners engage each one of you. One of them has knocked on every single door and
said there was going to be a straw poll.
And people were well, true. A straw poll of the 30,000 or the entire project? What did you commit yourself to?
Does it matter? Does it matter?
Yeah, well, what did you commit yourself to?
Sleep well.
Yeah. All right.
Totally foreign to me. I've quoted jobs, done jobs worth $20 million. Never once did I get paid for an estimate. I don't understand that part, but
I'm a Canadian.
Well, that's what happens when FP&L is the only game in town. You
Well,
know?
Don't get
The man who has the gold
Yeah,
makes the rules.
and they send a bill once.
Kathy, last comment, and then we're gonna move on.
I just want to throw another thought for you. Global warming. In 40 years, they say that Florida is in denial, but Florida is the first state who's going to be hit. We're going to be underwater. And Florida will not listen to anything that's going on. And I'm having a big debate in my home right now about global warming. We're for and against. We're split family on a lot of things. But think about it. 40 years, I'm not going to have to worry about it. But in 40 years, if we're underwater in the state of Florida and we're right out there by the water, do we really care whether we're underground or not?
We'll be so Kathy, can I build on what you're saying?
Holy
Yes, the other
smokes.
side of global warming is that storms are getting bigger and getting more intense. They
True.
just had a storm in the Pacific with 215-mile-an-hour winds, which is unprecedented. So if there are going to be bigger, nastier storms coming out of the Atlantic, for us to be underground when that comes will give us some protection.
That's
Right,
another
so that's
thing.
the other side of it, and
Yeah.
and the whole system should be
Yeah.
only lasting 40 years anyway, so it all should work out fine. Thank you. I don't mean to make light of it, but that's sort of the time.
Yeah.
Gil,
Colleagues,
The state of Florida is the first state to be hit.
You're on here.
Peter, you had a comment?
No, I just got stretched my legs.
Well, no, you did before, I thought. Okay. Frank?
Where is our power source?
Two. We're fed off the north end of the island, which I believe roots from the, we can actually tap the nuclear plant in St. Lucie if need be, but then our primary for the area is the new
Riviera Beach.
natural gas fired Riviera Beach. So like I have said over and over again, our friends, Jupiter Island has done this, Juneau Inlet Colony has done it, Palm Beach is about to do it, but our proximity to that new category 4 or 5 storm rated facility, we're already buried under the intercoastal waterway with a primary feeder line. So if our lines go under, and that's a brand new storm rated facility, that's a great position to be in. And not many towns can say that, because let's say if Palm Beach Gardens wants to bury a portion of their town, well, that's great, they're gonna do it, but then their feeder lines are gonna be above ground to their power source. For us, we're already buried under the intercoastal waterway.
I think we should
All
have
right.
a generator.
Well, good conversation, good discussion, almost like a mini workshop. I gladly pass the survey over to the mayor-elect for her to put the verbiage together. And
Gil and I are a team.
yes, Jan.
I just think that, as a cancer survivor, I have to add that there's a health benefit. And I would have everybody Google it. In this town, we don't make it a month without hearing somebody else that has cancer. And with aging power lines, and are we so close that you have to consider it's not just aesthetics. It's really, there is a health value to having them underground. And I can tell you a lot of cancer patients that tell me I'm crazy to live with one in my backyard.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you. Great discussion. Thank you, everyone. That was really helpful.
You sure?
No, it really was. Thank you. Thank you.
Keep visiting the hair salon more often now.
Let's do this every month.
All right, moving forward to ordinances and
Okay,
resolutions.
so what's the consensus of?
Yeah, I know, we did have a motion on the floor that we
No, we
issued.
never even.
Roby made a motion
Oh,
at the beginning of the discussion.
Yeah.
He's still there.
So there should be some direction as to, I think the first question is the commission still wants to move forward with even allowing all of the residents to weigh in so they have guidance on even moving forward with a binding cost estimate. Is that what I'm sensing the commission wants that consensus first, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then the commission, do we have that?
What was the motion?
What was the motion? Do we have that? That's on the recording?
It says motion for survey to move forward, yes or no, that's what Roby said.
Yeah, it was just the survey, but I would like to amend the motion to include the estimate cost, the 30,000.
Right. Yeah.
That's fine. we already have that in the existing verbiage that's communicated.
Right, and as Lisa said, the frequently asked questions will go along, and we'll put as much information as we know.
Clarification.
Right, and for people to be able to think about it.
And it's more of a direction, it's either going this way or this way, it's not a yes or no, because we're gonna be mandated one way or the other, so.
The only-
This wasn't a discussion,
Right.
because it brought that to light.
Now, the only tangent to remaining communication with FP&L and further negotiation is, I thought we could eventually get to the point in the fall that we would have had the straw poll. So FP&L has been on top of us, on top of me. When is the vote going to take place? Because they're ready again to move forward with spending money that could be applied towards the underground. They're ready now to spend money to harden these feeder lines. So you need to, they're thinking, in fact, we're going to try to move forward with a straw poll this month or in April, so that they knew whether or not to go ahead and invest the money on those feeder lines. So we need to engage conversation with FP&L and say, it's not going to happen, the vote's not going to happen maybe for another month, and the results won't happen for a following month, to see if they'll hold off, but they were ready to move forward.
They've got permits pulled already to put poles in our town.
Yeah.
What would be the FPL's projected cost to harden these lines? Surely greater than 25%? Possibly?
I don't understand your question.
The FPL,
Right.
if they were to harden our feeder line,
Oh,
what is their projected cost?
I don't have those numbers.
They don't share that with us.
It would be nice to have that.
I
Well,
don't
Bill
know.
said it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those lines are expensive.
Well,
Did-
I'm sure,
did I
for
quote
sure.
you
To
incorrectly?
put in hardened poles and infrastructure for primary feeder lines
right.
will cost that. And so they would make that investment only for the town to come back and potentially say, oh, hey, we want to now take all those brand new lines and bury them. So they were trying to be sensitive to us if we were seriously moving in that direction. So all I can say to the commission is be mindful of that, engage FP&L to see if they will hold off any further, because we've kind of been dragging our feet, so.
Well, get the letter written this week and send it out.
Okay.
One quick
Let's
question.
move.
Why don't FP&L, why don't they spend that 30,000 themselves right now? That way we can come back to them much quicker and give them a real good answer.
Well, if they did that with us, they would have to do that with every other municipality,
Well,
right?
that's everybody else's problem.
Nobody's asked them.
All right, so there's a motion before us, Commissioner Durrell, to move forward with the survey, authorizing the mayor and staff to formulate that survey to provide some more supporting questions and answers, facts pertaining to the project, and to proceed forward with it, to include the $30,000 price tag, which will include the projected cost of $4 million, et cetera. Is that your motion, Roby?
Yes, to move forward with the survey and the cost estimate.
Will that hold FP&L off?
Well, yeah, I think if we have a firm motion saying, hey, the commission approved it, we're engaging our residents now.
Okay.
So is there a motion, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion carries unanimously.
Could you read that motion back to us just one more time? What did it exactly say?
The motion by Commissioner Durrell moved to approve and authorize the mayor and staff
To do a survey.
to perform a survey and include as much supporting information and documentation as possible.
Thank you.
And 30,000.
And to obtain the estimate.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Let's go, let's go.
All right.
To obtain the
All right,
estimate
enough,
or
enough,
to
let's go,
approve
let's
the
go.
estimate?
That's enough, let's go.
No, it didn't the motion didn't authorize
No, not to all.
the expense. It only authorized the straw poll to move forward.
We'll do that separately once we get the results of the
Right.
straw poll.
Right.
Okay, let's keep going, please.
Ordinances and resolutions, agenda item 8A-0-2-16, amend chapter 58. Signs, and this is the one that, go ahead, Keith. If you want to.
This is on your agenda for second reading. You've seen this on first reading. It has also been reviewed at length by the LPA, which is required by our code and by state law. The LPA has sent forward significant comments regarding this ordinance, which, in my opinion, noise and sign codes are probably the two most difficult codes to write. With the sign code and the Supreme Court opinion that came out last summer is making this one even more difficult. And the comment that was made during public comments, I think is well taken. This is a complicated ordinance, and with the layer of comments that are coming back to you from your local planning agency, it's my opinion that this deserves a dedicated workshop to go through all those comments, look at the ordinance a lot more closely, figure out how to blend the comments into the document that the commission ultimately adopts, making sure that we do not run afoul of Supreme Court opinion. So my opinion would be, and my recommendation would be to not have second reading tonight, but to schedule a workshop with the commission and the local planning agency to go through their comments and allow the public to attend, to be educated on what the changes are or what they will ultimately be. Then it will be fully vetted and ready for second reading after that. So that would be my suggestion.
So, do you need a motion?
Yes.
You do, or we will.
I move that we defer on second reading ordinance number 0-2-16 until such time that a workshop be commenced to vet through the proposed changes
With the planning.
with the LPA as well.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Any further comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Durrell?
are the LPA comments those we're looking at in the underline and strike through on this document?
Not all of them. Some were,
Okay,
some were initial changes by Keith, and then they made more.
okay, can I get a copy of the LPA comments, the full?
Certainly, those will be provided in full as your briefing packet for that workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Durrell?
Aye, sorry.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8B, ordinance O-3-16, amending chapter 82 beach regulations on first reading. If that can be read by title only, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 3-16, ordinance of the Town Commission, Town of Palm Beach Shores, amending the Code of Ordinances of Chapter 82 Waterways, Article 2 Beach Regulations, Section 8234, to update parking regulations and clarify that parking at the town's beach and community center parking facility is only for beach and community center use, providing that all other sections and subsections of Chapter 82 remain full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify an effective date and further.
Resolution R-2-16.
I move we adopt resolution R-2-16.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor, reply by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Aye. And everyone stay for cake, please.
Yeah, right. Well, that'll be my piece.